you haven't already, make sure that you like and subscribe so that you can get weekly content. And we're going to start off this week talking about the beginning of a new league, actually, the USFL, which made its debut this past weekend. I guess it kind of like, I should say, the re-debut, because the USFL.
I was gonna say, isn't this a second iteration of it?
Yeah, it had previously existed for 3 seasons, beginning in 1982 and running through 1985. Several key players, such as notable players such as Doug Flutie, which eventually made it to the NFL, played in the USFL. So, it's back. And as far as we just had the XFL, obviously, which is going to be relaunched, but the XFL only lasted 1 season in both of its, iterations of the XFL. There was one which lasted in the early 2000s for 1 season, then it came back last year, and obviously, came back at a terrible time during the pandemic. And
Yeah, I mean, you would think though, people staying at home and not being able to go out as much, you would think maybe that would get people to be like, all right, well, you know what, I'll watch the XFL.
It probably depends on how good the TV deal is, because so much of it's based on the TV deal, and then so much probably is based on the attendance. So hopefully the USFL can get some better fan attendance. I mean, they have a TV deal with Fox and NBC. And I don't know if you said you didn't really watch a whole lot of the games, but the first game that they had between the Birmingham Stallions and the New Jersey Generals, which was won by the Stallions 28-24 in the comeback win. I think that was the most exciting of the 4 games. Had the most fans. The other games throughout the weekend definitely drew less crowds, but one of them was postponed due to bad weather. The game was played Sunday night, and there was almost no fans, and maybe a couple hundred people in the stadium. So you hope
that's definitely not good.
But here's the thing that I will mention about the USFL. It is being played in a centralized location in Birmingham. So all 8 teams are playing out of that one stadium. So maybe a little bit,
Yeah, that seems like kind of a hard thing to.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to sell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might have, let's say, there's the Tampa Bay Bandits. I think you said was one of the teams, right? And okay, I live near Tampa now, so if I was going to go ahead and if there's no Washington team or Maryland, Virginia team maybe, then all right, I'll jump on with the Tampa team. But if they're all playing at the same location in Alabama, it's not really the opportunity to maybe go to a game in person and enjoy that experience, and then maybe get into it, isn't really there. So if there's not that avenue there of at least the cities that they're representing where people can go and see the games, if you like football, it's the middle of whatever time of the year where there's, unless you like baseball and other sports, which, I personally don't. So if there was oh, hey, there's this cool game we can go see in Tampa, a football game, I'm okay, cool. That might be interesting.
Yeah.
To get people involved, because, it doesn't just happen overnight with something like that.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, it's going to be interesting because obviously, like I said, there's pros and cons to the way that they're doing that. Having it centrally based, obviously, you save a little bit of money because each team doesn't have to have, all 8 teams are sharing the venue, so I'm sure that's going to save them some money.
Yeah,
until they see if it's going to be successful and fruitful to start putting, these teams in local markets. But yeah, I mean,
it just seems like a very hard sell. Living here in this area, I've never once heard of the Tampa Bay Bandits until you told me about the
and the flip side of that is you can't get the local fans involved if you're not in the local community.
It's kind of it's really going to be hard to get that to take off if the local where the team is representing, that's where you're going to get the core of your fan base, especially in a new kind of a league like that. This isn't teams that have existed for years. You got people in Europe who like various NFL teams for whatever reason. And that kind of thing's not going to happen. You have to build that kind of thing from the ground up.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly hope it works out. I'm all for having these alternate leagues like the XFL and the USFL, so that
absolutely
we can have off-season football. Because honestly, I watched it and I thought that, to be honest, I watched 2 games. I watched the Bandits game, and then I watched the Stallions. I watched the inaugural game, which, by the way, the inaugural game between the Stallions and the Generals. Brought in actually at its peak 3.5 million viewers between Fox, NBC, and their streaming platforms. So definitely in terms of TV viewing, it did pretty well. Like I
Well,
said,
you said that was in the first game, but then you said the following games after that, it was a lot less, right?
yeah, I don't know what the what the ratings were or how many viewers tuned in, but I know that less people showed up in the stands. There were less fans at
Oh,
the game.
okay, that's right.
So
You did
so
say that's
it,
right.
it could have still been viewed by a lot of people. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, like I said, it peaked at 3.5 million viewers at 10:45 p.m. Eastern time. And like I said, the Stallions pulling out a 28-24 come from behind win over the Generals. So it was a pretty exciting game. I watched it. It wasn't bad. Um, they've got the Generals had former a guy that spent some time in training camp with the Rams, Luis Perez, as their quarterback. Victor Bolden is on one of the team's former Niners receiver and punt returner. Also notable players, I told you the Bandits starting quarterback is Jordan Tiamu, who spent a couple games on Washington's roster last season as
Hmm.
kind of like a COVID and injury relief quarterback. So he was with the Commanders last year. So recently on an NFL roster. They also have Kyle Lauletta, who's a former fourth round pick of the Giants back in 2000, Cleveland Brown linebacker. So they've got some NFL talent, and like I said, the football played wasn't bad. You know, sometimes you watch a game and it's unwatchable because it's just so sloppy. But you know, this does look like it could be, you know, pro or semi-pro football for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely good, especially in the off season when there's nothing else on. I mean,
Yeah,
no, it's not NFL football, and I guess it depends. You know, a lot of people also like college. I've never really gotten into college quite as much, but it's nice when no other thing is on other than like baseball or
hmm
very other things I'm not really into watching,
yeah,
and
and the
then to have
NBA
those
season's ending as
alternatives.
well. So even people that
Yeah,
are more into basketball, that's ending right
and
now.
I'd watch basketball all day over like baseball. Like, basketball, especially in person, I think basketball. I mean, I'm not a huge basketball fan,
Yeah,
but
basketball's exciting.
watching that in person
Exciting
is
game.
is actually it's really fun.
Yeah,
If you're watching it and you're right there, it is exciting. But on TV and the pro level, it just doesn't really excite me a whole lot. But
yeah,
football
understood.
is always fun, especially you're sitting in a bar in the middle of the summertime and have like a football game on the TV. Be like, oh hell yeah, sweet, we got some football.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure that you like and subscribe and follow us on all of the social media platforms and check out our other video clips, like the Niners news update.
And the Commander's countdown.
That's right. See you next week, everybody.